Hey, we are live. We are live. Welcome everybody to another week, another version of Happy Half Hour. I'm David Shakavich. I am the president of Carolina Retirement Planners, and with me is Sam Shakavich, my daughter and partner here in the business.
Hey,
And
everybody.
we have come to you now for, I think, like 140 weeks or so. Each Thursday with COVID, we kind of started this to kind of get together with people, and it's been so popular, we've kept it going. And Sam, who else do we need to introduce?
We need to introduce the lovely, incomparable Miss Amy Dresky, our Director of Client Fun.
Hi, how are you? How's everybody today?
Great. Having a great Thursday. How about you?
Wonderful. I'm a little chilly. I got long sleeves on. I'm like, wasn't it just 80? What happened?
You know, my office is always like
Hot.
10 degrees warmer than the rest of the building.
Yeah.
So I'm chilling.
Yeah.
Well, not, I'm the opposite. I'm balmy. I'm a balmy.
Your office is it's because you get all that wonderful sunshine. That's why.
I
So
can make a comment as to what's generating that hot air, but I better not. It's all the sun on that side of the building.
yeah.
After
Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
That's,
Rude.
couldn't resist. Couldn't resist. And today our happy half hour is on retirement lasagna. We're going to talk about kind of how lasagna and a retirement, what they have in common, and the lessons we can learn. But we always like to have some.
I suspect that I am going to be hungry by the end of today's.
I'm already hungry putting this together.
We have a salad with grilled chicken and ready for queued up for dinner, and now we're talking lasagna, man.
That's just not going to cut it tonight. That's just not going to cut it. And we this is going to be interesting one. I don't think we've ever done one on this, and got some things to learn that many people may not be aware of. So it's going to be fun. Today is also what day is today? We always like to celebrate what day it is. There's a new day or many days every day celebrating something. What are we celebrating today?
So, there are lots of cool days today, but since we're doing, retirement lasagna, I selected the Happy International School Meals Day. And then what I did was I asked everybody to email in with their favorite parts of lunchtime or favorite memories when they were a child of lunchtime, whatever it was. And we had a lot of great answers. I mean, so many people on that spreadsheet. It was a lot of fun. Going back in time, nostalgia.
Yeah, I remember my school lunches. When I was in, elementary school or even high school, had the classic cafeteria, with mystery meats and carbohydrates and, little meal trays. And I guess, just,
I was thinking back to my most interesting cafeteria experiences, and I think most of them were very normal, but something that I will never forget from elementary school, and this is pretty long ago, is that at the elementary school that I went to in Pittsburgh briefly, they had our milk served in little plastic baggies. It was like a little square plastic bag.
What?
And yeah, it would, and then you would like poke it with the straw and hope that it didn't go everywhere. But I remember they even showed us this video about like, here's the trash that regular milk cartons create, and here's how little of a trash that these tiny little plastic bags of milk would create. So it was like this like little blob of milk that we drank out of.
I've never seen or heard of anything. It's almost like a Capri Sun milk. Is that what you're saying? I mean, is that?
Yeah, but it didn't have a hard bottom. It was literally just it was like, whenever there's like a big thing in the lake that you like jump in, like it was like a blob. It was like just a little square of milk.
My father, your grandfather, he lived and worked for running a mine in Canada, in Ontario. And up there, you went and bought milk. You bought a gallon of milk in a plastic bag, and you had a little holder to put it in to kind of kept its shape. But they long ago had eliminated all that, either the plastic container or even the paper, the paper wax container. Sort of interesting. I don't know if anybody else had it milk served in anything strange, but that's interesting.
There was
Kids
a
milk.
place in Chapel Hill where called Mapleview. They've since, I think they're still producing milk, but they sold part of their farm. But they produce milk that would be sold all through the triangle, and you could get it in these glass jugs. And as long as you brought the glass, you could bring the glass jug back in, get a credit for it. But it was like just a really nice way to have milk. And they had a place where an ice cream place where you would be in the middle of the nowhere and you'd sit there and eat ice cream, and you could look at the cows that just made your ice cream. That was really nice.
I had something similar when I was growing up. It was called Oberweis, and they would deliver our milk in glass containers, and we would get ice cream. And we had a cooler that we'd leave on the porch that we'd put the old stuff in, and they put the new thing in. I mean, that's not at school, but yeah, we had that too. It was really good milk.
I remember having a milk box as a kid. So those days, I guess, are gone now, you know? I don't know if anybody delivers milk to your door anymore. But we ought to say hello. Before we get into lasagna, we always like to say who has joined us. Bill has joined us, another good regular folks. Dan and Barb are checking in. They're again in Florida instead of the North Carolina mountains. I guess they're winter quarters, you know. And we have Teresa here as usual, checking in with her family. Linda, it's good to see you. Skip, who else do we have, Brenda?
Oh, I'm I'm Sam, but we do also have Brenda here.
It's because he was reading the name. I knew it. I know he's going down to my comments, and I'm like, oh, there it is.
And then we have Carol Ann. Hey, Carol Ann, thank you for joining us. And we have Jay and Carter here, and Lori here as well. So thank you guys
I spent 3 hours doing a workshop today at Brunswick and Brunswick Community College. So I'm still, you know.
Plus, you had one last night too. You're like back to back.
And last night I did 3 hours.
Yeah.
It's like my mind is, you know.
You're a machine, I tell you. I'm often like, what would David do? Try to be, you know, just like, yeah.
Well, let's get going and start on this so we can make sure we get this in. And so I'm going to break out my trusty iPad here and hope it all works like usual. There we go. So we're doing a retirement lasagna, and I'll tell you, I look at this and it's like, it's making me hungry. I don't know if it's making you. But
yeah. That one doesn't have enough cheese for me.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you can always sprinkle more.
It's still making me hungry though.
You know, see, I'm like more of a saucy lasagna. I'm like, oh, that looks good.
If you think, what are the things that go into a good lasagna? What's one of the most important ingredients here?
The noodles.
The noodle. And what makes a good noodle?
Well, I mean,
fresh, homemade, right? I mean,
yeah, if you give a homemade noodle, that's ideal. But
homemade pasta, that's going to be the base of everything. And then, of course, when you put the sauce on it, what do you use?
Some tomatoes.
Yeah, tomatoes. Yeah. You got to get good ripe tomatoes, boil them down, or get canned tomato, or however you do your tomatoes. And then the tomatoes themselves aren't enough to make a sauce. You got to add things like basil and garlic and probably a whole bunch of other stuff that I couldn't find the cookbook for. You know?
Yeah, spices.
Yeah, some oregano.
Yeah, and then there's what Sam likes the most, and that, of course, is good cheese. And you want to get a really
Gotta be
good,
balanced, but yeah, you gotta have some ricotta in there, some parm.
gotta have some ricotta, and of course, you're probably going to use olive oil or some to go in there as well. It's all going to be in there. What else does it take to put it together into
Wait,
something?
wait, wait. Before you even get to that, but where's the meat? Wait, don't you need the meat in your
Oh,
sauce?
I guess I just thought maybe a pile of hamburger here, clip art, would probably not be good. And
Yeah, would we
Yeah.
just have the cow?
you can either imagine meat or not. I guess I could have a cow there or hanging in the anyway. So we'll just pretend there's meat. Okay. So what does it take? You got to assemble it right? You
Well,
can't
yeah, because
just
with at this point, these are all just ingredients.
yeah. You got to get the right layers of cheese sauce, noodles, just the right thickness, the right number of layers.
Yeah, when you make
And
a lasagna, you are very carefully constructing it. You're slowly building it layer by layer to put all of these ingredients together into one of the most delicious treats that I'm going to think about all night.
and in Sam's case, you'll want more cheese than we saw in the earlier one, but and you also have to have the right pot. I mean, you do this in a cook pot, a big deep cook pot's probably not going to work. You got to have one of those flat baking pans, not too deep, so the heat can get through. You got to put it in at the right temperature for the right amount of time, so the surface is just bubbling and all those things come through to make a good uh, uh, lasagna. And you kind of have to have a chef that you kind of either learn from a chef or have a chef to help with this to make it really good. Now, I have my own personal bias. If I was going to make this, I would certainly want to as we go along have a nice bottle of wine with it too. That's one thing that would be important for me to make lasagna really good. Retirement is like that too. And when you get to retirement, there's a number of things that you need to make a good retirement. Some of them are things that you might think about when you think about us. They might be, hey, I need income coming in for my next 30 years. I got to make sure I have enough income. And to get that income, I got to make sure that when it comes to investments, I got the right investments and mix of investments so I can weather the ups and downs. And then one thing that's going to be even more important in the years to come is to figure out how I can minimize the taxes that are coming along. And what you don't manage to spend, you want to pass on to probably your kids and grandkids. And so you got an estate plan, a wills and trust, and all the documents and structure and all to pass that on. The thing is, we may get back to this if we have time, but there's some other things that are necessary for a good retirement that you may not be thinking about, how to make these years of retirement good. And I will just cover a few and look at some things we could do to help make them happen. There's things like health and medicine. There's things like friends and companionship. There's things like learning, and there's things like keeping your mind sharp and exercising and activities as well. So let's go look at some of those. I want to start with medicine. Now, I'm going to tell a little bit of a story here. I want to talk a little bit about concierge medicine because I've experienced it personally and it's helped me a lot. But it all started several years ago. I don't know, maybe 8-9 years ago. One of my clients that I've had for a long time, over 15 years, long-term client, has become a really good friend. We've talked a lot. And he was here sitting in the office. He had cancer, and he'd been fighting cancer and figuring out how he could get better. And he said, one of the things I did, Dave, is I went and I got a concierge doctor. And he said, I went to this person, and he gave me this real thorough physical and sent my blood off with for lots more tests than everyone did. He took blood pressure, both arms and legs, and everything. And that's what, different level of medicine to do that. And I'm thinking to myself, well, golly, I've got a doctor. I go to this medical place, and there's a long hallway with little rooms, and they put me in one of those rooms, and I sit there like forever. And finally the doctor comes in, and they spend 10 minutes with me, and then they leave and they go to the hallway and they type up what they did, and then maybe get a minute to go to the bathroom, and then 15 minutes later they're back into the next room. And I actually have a book on it, concierge medicine, and a lot of medicine has become what they often call 15-minute medicine, where doctors are now working for a big group that's owned by a corporation, and they got restrictions, and they get to spend 10 minutes with you and have 5 minutes to write it up and go to the bathroom and go on to the next person. And there's a group of doctors that started or began to do concierge medicine. And this is where you go and you pay them extra. You give them all the insurance money they normally get, but you pay them extra. And that gives them the ability to take fewer clients and not have and spend time with you. And so I went to the same doctor my friend was using, and they take blood pressure, both arms and legs. And that way they can tell, do you have any hardening of the arteries? They do all these hearing and eye and squeeze test and more blood work than I've ever seen. And when I went to go over it with the doctor, go over the results, we spent over 2 hours together. When was the last time you spent 2 hours with a doctor?
That's amazing. Yeah.
And I won't go into my details, but it has helped me immensely. And what's more important than your health? When it comes to our future, and when you get older, you can require more maintenance. You get kind of minor breakdowns, and you need kind of so it's worth for many people to do this. There's a number of programs out there. The one that I used, one of the bigger programs, is called MD VIP. If you Google that, there's a couple doctors in the area that do it. You can do that. If you go somewhere else, during a hurricane, we were up and we kind of retreated to Cary, and I had some problem, and I went to the local MD VIP guy a couple of miles away, got in that day, and he spent a long time with me fixing this. So this is, one thing to make a good retirement lasagna, you got to be healthy, and especially many people may find it's worth spending a little extra to be sure they're well taken care of. Another one is you want to keep learning. You want to grow, and you may want to study more, read more, learn some new things. You might want to take up a new hobby, maybe learn an instrument. Never too old to learn instruments, and in retirement, you may have the time to kind of do that. There's places you can get lessons or expand your horizon, take up pottery, take up a hobby, something to grow. You need to keep learning. And it's one local place is called, they call it OLLI. It's the Osher Lifelong Learning Institute. It's actually part of UNCW. I think they have an office across from UNCW, what used to be an ice cream shop. And I just went to their website today, and I pulled out what their activities are now. You got creative writing, history, literature, philosophy and religion, special topics. They've got nature exclusions.
They've got a wine
tours,
society.
Fitness. Pardon?
They've got a wine society.
I missed that one. Where's that? Yeah, here it is. Food and wine, luncheon series, wine society. They've got thinking on Thursdays, Friday forum, American Women of Valor. They got all this stuff. This is a place you can go and kind of continue to expand your learning.
They also do trips. I know somebody that used to be part of this. in like the top echelon of it. And the like travel and culture, they go and do trips not just across the US, but they actually go out of the country as different parts of like their learning experience and groups and things like that as well.
So and actually that's kind of on my list. I'd like to do one of those cruises, maybe here, maybe National Geographic. Instead of just going and eating and drinking for a week, it'd be fun to go where they'll bring professors in and you can expand and learn. Probably still eat and drink a lot, but at least you'll be learning at the same time. So this is an example, a local resource we have here. You also want to not just keep learning, but you want to keep your mind sharp, and you want to do things like puzzles and crossword puzzles, things that are your work in your mind. It helps ward away the other things that can happen.
I don't know if my mom is on right now, but she does the New York Times crossword in pen, which is insane.
Whoa, that's like intense. Yeah. I like
She
it.
finishes it. She does it well, competently.
Yeah, what can I say? She's got good taste in men too, if I do say. Anyway, you also, an important thing is having friends and companionship.
Community,
You know,
a sense of
you-
belonging.
you got a sense of belonging, and maybe sometimes you move away from all your past friends. You got to develop new friendships and people you can share with. Sometimes you can combine the two. For instance, you might say, I'm going to meet some friends and we're going to learn bridge, and we're going to we're going to join a bridge group or a pinochle group, you know.
You wrote
and-
Bride.
I love just saying pinochle. It's so fantastic.
Yeah, and you know, I'm not played. I didn't spell it right either.
No,
did
you
I?
spelled bride.
Maybe you know it's apparently a great exercise. You got to really be thinking to play and coordinate with someone and get a group of friends there. That's another thing that you need to make a good retirement lasagna, and you also people that live a long time and get a lot of good years in. There's
Oh, that's a kayak. On the last slide, I had the hardest time figuring out what that was.
Oh my goodness, so did I.
Like,
I
is that
see
a-
it now
is that
that
like
you
an
say
abstract
it.
bird or like a model airplane?
What is that? Yes,
There's-
yes.
there's areas in the world where people live for a long time. They got certain zones that they've lived on, and they found out besides having friends and companions that they spend time with, they stay active. Now it doesn't mean you have to be a long distance runner or lift weights, but they move around every day. They may garden, they may walk, they do things to stay active. Kayaking is one of my favorites. And in terms of local places, there's one group that we've been part of. I was on the board for a while, is the Cape Fear River Watch. They have a group that kind of oversees. There's a group of these nationwide or worldwide, but we have a group here that looks after the Cape Fear, does a lot of environmental things, have been big at fighting the whole problem we've had with things up at the old DuPont plant. But one of the things they do is about eight or nine times a year, they do a kayak trip, and I've been on trips where we've had 75 kayaks, and I'll drive up to the Black River, someplace you'd never normally know where to put in and out, and everyone will put in those cart people around so we can get everybody out and do some, and we'll go down the river in this group, and it's a lot of fun, and so this is another place that you can expand some of your horizons and make friends and get some exercise. We have ideal places for kayaking. Or some of the rivers, if you go to the right place, are like you can't hear a car, you don't see a house. It's just some really great places to kayak. And I'll sum it up. Dan Sullivan is a gentleman I know. He does a coaching course for people. I took his coaching class, if you will, about 15 years ago now. And one of the things, he's written a book called The Laws of Lifetime Growth, And what he says there is always make your future bigger than your past. The idea is you want tomorrow, next week, next year to be your best day or week or year ever. You want to keep growing and just make the future brighter. And some of the things there we looked at is what it takes to make good retirement lasagna. Yeah, there's things like, and we don't have time. We've talked about these in other times where we've talked about tax and investments and income and everything, but there's more to it. And I thought if we're going to do retirement lasagna, I'd cover some of these other things. And as always, if you want to know more, you can go to our website, Carolina Retirement Planners. If clients know, they can always call us. If you want to talk about something, you can call 910-815-3100, particularly if you're here for the first time or haven't been to see us, and you book a 15-minute phone call or go to carolina15.com and book a call. So that we are at 4:56. We are at about.
Do we have a giveaway?
Oh, yes, we do have a giveaway. We always have a giveaway. This is the retirement recipe. It is how interest rates play a role today, especially with the way interest is going. This is some good stuff to know here. And how do they get a copy of this, Amy?
All they have to do is send Mary an email, and it's Mary@Carolina, R's in retirement, P is in planning.com. So Mary@CarolinaRP.com.
And we will mail this, print it here on dead trees, delivered to your door by.
Why do you always say that?
Of the not gonna, so you don't have to try to read it on your cell phone, you know? Oh, yeah, so
It's kind of funny. Yeah, it's good that we don't have to read it on
I
your
still
phone.
think it's funny. You know, we got to recognize and you know, the lumber is important. We use it for anyway, there's still things on paper. We're a little old school, and I don't know. It's kind of nice to have it flopping around your.
That's an interesting thing is who invented paper? Who said, let's take some trees and make it into paper? When did that happen? You have the history of salt, Dad. I want to read the history of paper.
Okay, well, it's right after they figured it out.
I'm making a note.
I think they did papyrus first. Remember, wasn't that what they, in Egypt or something? But anyway, okay, well, so that's that, and we got something else to do, don't we?
I think we do.
Yes.
What could that be? Our wine giveaway.
I'm trying.
I'd like to.
It took me a second to find the words.
Love it.
Wine is always on the tip of my tongue.
So each week we give away 2 bottles of wine delivered directly to your door from Fermental Bottle Shop. Fermental Bottle Shop is located in the heart of the Cargo District, downtown. Go check them out. You can pick up stuff to go. You can drink it there. It's a really cool spot. And Amy, if you win, Amy will call you, ask you some questions, get to know you. Well, just enough to figure out what kind of wine to send you. And then we'll send you some good bottles of wine. So all you have to do to get in here in order to win is each week we will on Facebook, if you're like a member of Facebook, we'll have an event and you just click, I am attending every week. That's all you got to do. And if you share that with a friend, you'll get another entry. And if you're on our email listserv, each week we'll send you something letting you know what our topic is this week. And if you respond to that email and let us know what your favorite school lunch memory is, or whatever the question may be, or just say, enter me into the wine drawing, we'll get you in here again. So there's so many ways to enter.
So many ways. So many.
So many ways. So
Can I have my drum roll?
it's so easy. And our winner this week of 2 bottles of wine is Rita N.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Nice.
So congratulations, Rita. You are our wine winner this week. To everybody else Please continue to enter. You have a chance every week to win 2 bottles of wine, free wine.
And if anybody's looking for a recommendation, I have a particular expertise in good cheap Spanish reds. You know, drop me a note. I'll give you some recommendations.
I like it.
If
I'm taking some
that sounds
recommendations
like
from
your
you.
thing, shoot him an email. He'd love to tell you
Amy,
all about it.
did we pick out a topic for next week yet?
We did.
We did.
Next week, we are talking about RMD changes.
Oh, yes.
Mhm.
Required minimum distributions changed here they kept it's like a moving target. So
Yeah.
we're going to go over that and some of the things you should know, and taxes, and especially IRA taxes, important. There's a lot of opportunity there. Always be good fun. So
Yeah, it
we
is.
will. It is 5:01. We will see you all next week for that. I hope you enjoyed this, and come visit us, give us a call. And until then, just have a great weekend and a great week. Cheers, everybody.
Yeah, cheers. Stay
Cheers.
warm. Bye-bye.
Bye bye.